that in my office.
Oh, okay.
Harvey's
Dodge sale.
I don't know how far back that goes.
Dodge, Dart, and
What's
trucks.
the name?
Harv's Dodge
Harv's
sales.
Dodge.
Harvey Keeneman.
Okay.
Doesn't have an address. I don't remember.
What's the bank on the far end of town?
Was it?
This side of Tundra.
Okay.
They tore it down to build a bank there.
Where the bank is. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Thank you, Mike.
we used to collect a lot of thermometers, advertising thermometers.
Okay.
So
Great.
what do you want to know?
Well, tell us your story now. How did you get to Princeton? Are you from this area, or did you migrate?
No.
He was a legal.
Back,
Illegal immigrant?
yeah. Back in the 1970s, I graduated from UW Milwaukee in 1968. And then I went into Vista, which is the Domestic Peace Corps, for a year. And then I worked on a daily newspaper in Syracuse, New York for a year as a traditional reporter. I graduated with a journalism degree. Mass comm now, I guess, but back then it was a journalism degree. And then back in, at the university, I was the editor of the UWM Post for a year and the managing editor for a year before that. So I had a lot of newspaper experience, as did some of the other people that worked on that newspaper at the time. So in 1970, we came back, 5 of us, to the area and started a newspaper called the Bugle American. It was in Madison for like 4 months, but Madison at the time in 1970 was, and this was right after the Army Math Research Center was bombed, it was like a really creepy kind of place to be. So we moved back to Milwaukee, where we all had started, and did that for a number of years.
So now, what kind of, just a general newspaper with general news, or did they have like specific?
Kind of like I would call it an alternative newspaper.
Okay.
At the time, there were underground newspapers. We weren't that, but we weren't a traditional newspaper either. So we were kind of like in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bugle American.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, so we did that for a while, and then back in the 1970s, there was this like back to the land movement going on in the country, where a lot of us old hippies were kind of like getting the urge to get out of the city and out of that kind of a life and return to the land. Okay, so my wife at the time and I did that, and the reason we were looking around this area, or we kind of made concentric circles out from Milwaukee, not to go too far because we were still going back and forth. As a kid, my family had taken me to a lake up in Watoma, Porter's Lake, a place called Wawas Lodge. And that's what we did for our vacation every year of my childhood. We had 2 weeks at this, and it was a little resort. In the beginning, they just had outhouses, a cute little cabin, and you'd fish and swim and catch frogs, and a dream, a dream for a little boy like me. So anyway, so I had that kind of connection to this general area. And so we ended up in Princeton. There was a farm for sale, the old Norblese farm, which is the farm that's right across from Mashuda, right across Highway 73. And it was a really good deal because it was in foreclosure, and we ended up being able to afford to buy it. And we did. We went to the Farmers Merchants Bank, and again, we were hippies back then, not real long-haired hippies, but kind of shaggy hippies, sometimes with a beard, sometimes without a beard. Whatever, we were hippies. But, we went to the bank and we had what it took, and they approved our loan. Super friendly, the guys at the bank, Reed Mavis, Jim Gear, Tony Proper, Norby Zadro. Anyway, so we moved into that farm, and we were there kind of back and forth because we were still doing this Milwaukee newspaper. But then ultimately, I ended up really liking it up here, and my former wife decided she wasn't part of the Back to the Land movement. So we kind of very amicably split and went our separate ways, and I stayed here. So not too long after that, I think it was 1976, I started a newspaper called the Fox River Patriot. And that was 3-4 county area. And we did a lot of feature stories on people in the area, unique people, and other stuff, you know, environmentally friendly things. We talked about solar power, and this was in the 70s, you know, 50 years ago, and that kind of thing. So the Fox River Patriot was going then.
Did it come out like once a week? Or
It came out every other week.
every other week?
Every
I
other
think
week.
I've seen some copies in
Yeah, 'cause I-
up-
We have,
upstairs in the
We,
store.
we donated a set.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I think
good.
we have the
Yeah,
full
you have a
collection.
set.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to
Uh,
get those out into our spreading the
Yeah.
word exhibit.
Yeah. So anyway, somewhere in there in the middle to late 70s, Pat Bentley, and we had our office in the old handcraft building,
Okay.
across,
State Park.
that way,
Yeah,
that way.
yep.
The old handcraft building, and, the beauty parlor was in the front, and we had the actually old handcraft office. Press Easton's old office was part of what we had there. And so we were housed there. And one day Pat Bentley came around and asked me if I'd be willing to be on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Because he was and he didn't want to be, and at the time, he had to be unless he found someone to replace him. So I said, okay. And I've been on this chamber ever since.
Oh, wow.
So
So what year was that? In the,
late 70s,
holy.
maybe say 78-ish, something
Okay.
like that.
So going on 50 years.
Yeah, going on 50 years.
Wow. So you've seen all the stuff that's happened in the
Mhm.
community for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so back then, Princeton was like really different. I mean, some of you remember, and some of you don't, but back then Princeton was a typical small town business community with 2 hardware stores and 2 lumber yards and 3 grocery stores.
3 butcher shops.
Well, and yours was more of a general store, grocery store, general store. Jean's Bargain Center, Savecki's, 5 and Dime, meat
Several
markets, a
grocery
couple barber
stores.
shops,
Yeah, grocery
Village Bakery.
clothing
Any
stores.
bars?
Oh, no bars, no, there were never any bars.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was never,
Really, really different.
I never got to
Yeah.
Princeton at that time of my life, but I wish
Yeah.
I would have. It would have been
Yeah.
amazing to see. So.
And back then, we had some, we had, in July, we had Crazy Days. And that was an event where the merchants would bring out stuff. We would encourage people to do it. Maybe 6 or 7 did, you think? And we would close off the street and, it would be like a outdoor shopping
Yeah.
thing. Then for a couple years in August, we did an event called Moonlight Madness. And it was the same kind of thing, but it was in the evening.
Okay.
Shopping event, trying to get people to town. So then, in the winter of 1982, 81, 82, 2 gentlemen named Leo and Lester Knock had been running the flea market, and it had started somewhere around 1975. We've actually decided that's the year it started. Whether it really did or not is still debatable, but we'll say it did. And it started down across from the grocery store.
Oh,
just
from
a few
the Piggly
people
Wiggly?
in front of there was the liquor store down there,
Oh, yeah,
grocery store, Sadro Insurance, and a few people set up down there.
Oh, okay.
And then it moved into the park, and around that early 80s time frame, Leo and Lester, along with an older gentleman named George Petruski, were running the flea market. Well, sometime that winter, Leo, who was the lead runner of the flea market, said, "We quit. We're done." And they never kept any kind of records whatsoever of vendors, dealers. I mean, they did turn in some money to the chamber, but there was like nothing. So
Everybody trusted.
someone had to do it, and I guess I volunteered.
Oh, yes, I knew him.
Anyway, so in 1982, we changed it. It was real different, and for about a month, some of the really regular members were really unhappy, because what they used to do is come in on a Friday, and they would just camp wherever they felt like being, and that was where they would set up the next day. And then Leo and Lester would come around and collect money from them. Sometimes they'd have campfires, there'd be drinking, there'd be, people around the park you might expect didn't like that very much. And the chamber was hearing that more and more. And they would open at 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning. So we changed that the first year. We made it so people couldn't come in the park until, I think maybe we kept the 5 for a year or two and then changed it to 6. But they couldn't go in the park the night before and do all that stuff. So a lot of them were really mad at us for that. But we made them line up, and then we made them come in and blah, 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 blah. And after about a month, most of them thought that that wasn't maybe such a bad idea. And then we would let them, then we started letting them reserve that spot for the rest of the year, which is how we started getting names and addresses of dealers. Because prior to that, nobody knew.
It was just first come, first served, whoever
Yeah,
showed up.
whoever showed
Okay.
up.
Oh,
Yeah. So that first year, we probably had like maybe 50 names of people who like paid to reserve a spot. And then that started to grow. And it grew and grew and grew into, I would say, probably the prime time in terms of numbers would have been the 90s, where we had maybe 175 mapped spots, because we did make a map of all the spots in the park. And people could reserve their spots, and then, but we would always keep like maybe 24 open. 24, at least 24, so that every Saturday we'd see some fresh faces. People that wanted to come occasionally could still come and get in to set up. But back in the 90s, I would probably have sometimes 40 or 50 new applications for maybe 10 spots that would turn over each year. So you really had the luxury of picking people that you thought would really fit in with everybody else. So that worked out really well. Then came 2000, 2001, and that first 8 years of that time was really kind of a crash. Antique and collectible markets, flea markets, really were on a downward spiral during those years. The internet was starting to be more of a factor in buying and selling for people, and that again took away some of this demand for interaction. But then it leveled out, and it was okay, and some of those early people who decided they were going to get in on the online thing and sell stuff and ship it to people, and then they would, this one guy in particular, his name was Jim Kelly, and he was one of our regulars, and he would be shipping people stuff and it was breakable. And he would say, yeah, and they told me it was all broken when they got it, so they're not going to pay for it. Well, he didn't really know if it was or not.
That's right.
And this kept happening until he just stopped doing it altogether, said, I'm just doing the in-person stuff again. And that kind of like little circle happened. And people still do both, but you have to be cautious because there's a lot of potential in problems with it. So anyway, that kind of like, and then 2000, then it kind of like went up and down, and you got up to 2020, and then shoot, you know, for half the year we didn't open at all.
Yeah, so I was trying to remember, you didn't even open.
We didn't open at all, and we opened in July on a very limited basis, and basically we would put people like in every other vendor spot, so they were literally a space in between everybody, and they were really spread out, and we limited to maybe 50 or 60 people that would even, and we would only take reserve people. We didn't take any dailies for the balance of that season, and that's just kind of how we limped through 2020. Then by 2021, you know, things were getting a little better, and so we kind of went back to, but we were taking precautions. We actually had someone that we hired to keep cleaning the bathrooms on a regular basis. We had tables out with, you know, spritz stuff all over the place. And that's when the food groups all switched to the stupid little horrible packets of stuff so that they wouldn't be touching someone else's ketchup. You know. Anyway, so then it just kind of has come back up this year. We probably had 10 or 15 more seasonals than last year. And right now we're kind of at the point where we can't take any more because we're down to like 23 daily spaces. As of next Saturday starts our second half, we have 23 daily spaces to rent out to people who want to come. And we've had 4 or 5 Saturdays where we've had in excess of that. The 2 July 4th weekends were 29. We had 30 some on Memorial Day weekend, which was really one of the biggest flea markets we've ever had, ever.
Yeah.
Really, it was a perfect day, and it was just like awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we stand right now. People ask, and a lot of people have asked, how do you have a successful flea market? And I've kind of thought about it over the years and come up with a simple explanation is that you need to have buyers and sellers together at the same time. And there you go. And that's what you need, you know?
And Mike, didn't a lot of other communities around us try to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green Lake had a flea market for a while. Montello had a flea market for a while. Watoma, Audrey Summers up there, she was the lady that owned the Milty Wilty drive-in up in Watoma. She had a flea market for a while. Adams, yeah, quite a few have. None of them got, we just got big. You know, ours just ended up being successful, and I think we just did things right. And, you know, once you get that reputation building, then word of mouth is invaluable. So,
Come from all over.
It's a boom for this city.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
unbelievable, so.
It
Well,
is.
and I always thought, it just seemed that we had good fleas.
Good
That way,
fleas.
I used to tell people, you know, it's not your ordinary fleas. When they'd ask about it, and you'd be surprised when you travel, and when you'll say you're from Princeton, oh man, either they've been to the flea market,
Yeah.
I tried to go through there on a Saturday to go to the Dells and the traffic. It took us an hour and a half to get
Yeah.
through Princeton.
Can't find a place.
So I go to Florida.
Yeah.
Vicky went to Florida, I went to Florida, and I would wear Princeton t-shirts or flea market
Yeah.
t-shirts or just a Princeton t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And invariably I run into people who go, I know where that is.
Or I run into vendors in
Yeah,
Florida that were
yeah.
here at the.
Yeah, and there are some.
Yeah, yeah.
There are some that
When I
do.
was in the chamber, I saw a magazine from Europe that had the Princeton Flea Market.
Really, from Europe?
Things to do.
Okay.
Yeah, things to do in Wisconsin.
And it's amazing because we are really so small. We've got just one little block.
Yep, yep.
And within the block, you've got the community hall in there, you've got a playground in there, and you've got a food stand in there. That all
And
takes space,
bathrooms.
and yet, people know about it, and what attracts them, I don't know, but they come all the time from everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because it's really a very small area
right.
for flea markets.
Right,
it's
yeah.
true, it's just, where you go, you say that, that's what Julie heard, you know, oh, that's.
We had an eye opener when we first started vending there. We kind of, I don't know if we even broke any rules or not, but Tracy and Kimball
I
Soda.
hope not.
Tracy and Kimball Soda had the spot,
Sure,
and they kind of
Right up
sublet
front.
it to us at first.
yeah, okay,
But they
In case
elected
they want to come
eventually not to come back,
yeah,
and we took it over.
yeah.
But first year, Tracy said, "You sure you got meat enough?" Oh, oh yeah. By Memorial Day, we were scrambling for meat.
Uh-huh.
1 month,
And that was about 6 weeks of.
6 weeks.
Yeah. So anyway, over the years, we have a great partnership with everybody in Princeton, I think. Most everybody. There are probably people that hate the flea market, but that's always going to happen. We rent the park from the city. You know, you probably know that, or maybe you don't. For 20% of all the income, vendor rental income we take in, gets paid to the city. And over that almost 50-year time frame, you're pushing $1 million that the city has been paid by the flea market to rent the park. In addition to that, for the 6 months of the summer season, the chamber pays all the utilities in the park. So we're paying for all the electricity, all the water and sewer utilities. Regardless of someone else might be using the food booth, we're still paying the utilities. I mean, it's impossible to break it out, so
Yeah.
we just do. We also pay for cleaning up the park. We pay for where we take the trash, which used to be nasty old waste management. And then when Washkovic started, you know, like getting bigger and we could work with them, that was just awesome. Because now we keep that money local too,
Mhm, yeah.
Right.
instead of giving it to the mafia. So we also pay for the crossing guards, and we've had, way back when, a gentleman named Eric Reitz, if anybody remembers Eric. He worked for the city, and he was our crossing guard. And that was it, it was just Eric. And he would stand in that little crosswalk and get people safely back and forth, for $20.
Yeah. A lot of standard.
So most recently, up till this year, we were paying a company out of, were they out of Oshkosh or Green Bay, Oshkosh, I think, $45 an hour per crossing guard
Really?
for up to 3. They were supposed to have on holiday weekends. They really never kind of got that to that point. But we just decided we were really going to try, and we voted to do this. We had to switch insurance companies for the chamber because the insurance company we had would not cover a crossing guard.
All that comes into play.
So we did, and now we hired her. Now Patty Garrow is our primary crossing guard.
Dependable.
And Mark Judas has arranged the whole crossing guard thing. He's even filled in a few times. And there's a couple other people who are doing it too. So on the busier weekends, we have more. Later weekends, not. So now that's all local too. So, I mean, it's really good to be able to keep almost everything local.
You've probably got some stories over the years of things that have happened at the flea market, but does anything memorable or funny stick out to
How
you?
about the t-shirt bust?
Okay.
T-shirt bust, there were like, used to be there were real many T-shirts sold at the flea market. You know, it was like back in the '90s. If I got a new applicant that said T-shirts, I didn't even look at it because everybody was selling T-shirts. Oh, way too many T-shirts. Anyway, too many of them were knockoffs, and it's really hard to know if people are licensed to sell T-shirt. Anyway, and I don't even know where it started, but it ended up, they were going around to the various flea markets and they were busting T-shirt dealers who were selling T-shirts illegally. Like, let's say it was UW Badger T-shirt, but they weren't licensed to do that, but they were selling it. So anyway, and they didn't tell me about it because they thought that I would tell the dealers.
They being the law
warn them
enforcement.
off.
The law
They
enforcement,
being the
yeah.
law.
Okay.
It was the police chief, and who was the police chief at the time? Tell me. Not Matt, before Matt,
Metaxen.
Metaxen. Metaxen, yeah. And maybe a couple of county guys and maybe a couple of state guys. Anyway, they came in and they busted, and they actually hauled away several of the T-shirt dealers. So that was kind of interesting. And then there was the time that these guys brought a real bison into the park.
Oh, really?
And they thought that would be great, you know, for sales.
Did they
He
have?
wasn't breathing though.
No, no, he wasn't breathing.
Oh, okay.
But it would have
It
been
was a
fun.
Mounted one? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the funny
A
part
big
about,
bull head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
the funny part about that head is, when we go to the national thing, you know, people say, well, don't, you know, don't don't show the buffalo because people think they won't buy the meat because the meat too, you know.
Yeah. Oh, the cute
We had this
buffalo.
big head, and even people who were next to us, you know, they'd say, when I first saw where they were, because it just turned a little there,
yeah.
and they think, oh no, now we're hidden behind this buffalo head, but they found out the buffalo head stopped people.
It stopped people,
It
for
stopped
sure.
people to look, and so they'd be buying from them.
Yeah.
And quite a few people, if a group was there, and then they split up, and that was gonna be their
Or they'd meet.
reunite in front of the buffalo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got to be a landmark.
So I guess maybe one of the saddest things that I have had to experience in all these years at the flea market is watching people die.
Yeah,
You know, lots and lots of people that I got to know really well have passed on. And that's the sad part,
yeah.
but
Even that big T-shirt guy that was set up across from us,
Pete,
yeah, that was, I think to me, he was the starter of it. How dare you die?
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
spread from there, you know, like it was a disease.
yeah,
I have a question for you. I noticed coming through, I live over by Ripon now. I used to teach here in town for 25 years. But the other barn-like buildings, the other buildings that are not in the park itself, are you responsible for them too, or do you collect
the
money
big
for the
building?
chamber from them?
you mean the big building that's really in the park?
No, not
No, not the
in
community hall.
Next to it and then across the street. There are other
Like Sasquatch.
things,
and
yeah, there are
stuff.
other buildings.
Oh, you mean the, like, River City Antique Mall?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
can't
that's a
remember.
the big blue building?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we have, that's all private business.
that's all private off
All
of
private
there.
business.
If you wanna buy anything that only benefits the city itself, it'd be within the bounds of the park.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And at the food booth.
Well, yeah,
And
under the food booth.
My sister who lives in
specifically at the
Milwaukee has
food
come
booth.
all the way
Yeah.
up from Milwaukee
Yeah.
to go to the flea market, and I can tell her that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all,
Buy
that
food.
goes straight to the service organizations.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and people do come from all over the
Yeah, they
place.
do.
You know, they really do. And part of it is because they find, like I did when I moved here, and I found all these people in Princeton that I dealt with were so damn friendly. I mean, it's like, and I'm kind of like different, you know, at the time, you know, but they accepted that. I would, and we had this old house we bought needed a lot of work. And I would be down at the Ace Hardware store constantly, and I really didn't know what I was doing. So I had to ask these guys, and they were super helpful. I mean, they would get me what I needed and then tell me how to do it, you know? And I just found that to be true at so many of the businesses in Princeton. And I think it's still that way. We just got a letter maybe a week or two ago from some people, you probably remember it better than I do, who were staying out on the Fox River at some resort or Airbnb. And they came to town, and it was a crappy Saturday. It was a rainy Saturday, so they didn't get to experience the flea market, but they were in and around businesses in town, and they were so impressed with how everybody treated them that they wrote this long letter to us saying how much they loved. It was a reunion, like a brother-sister reunion of like maybe five brothers and sisters.
Yes, came from all over the country
Yeah.
to be here, and they said
Yeah.
that they will absolutely come back.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were extremely complimentary. They sent
so
us a
that's pretty
picture.
cool, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, how many places are like, I'm sure a lot of places are like that, but isn't it nice to know that this is one of them?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it really is.
And the people who take the time to let you know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I can't tell you how many of the flea market dealers have said this is absolutely their favorite market. You know, if they don't ever go anywhere again, they'll always come here.
They're treated well.
So how much longer are you gonna do it? Like,
I don't know,
do you have to find your person to take it up?
probably next year anyway, and
Are you gonna pull a Leo?
maybe
to say-
10 years from now, I don't know.
Yes,
I
can you talk about the 50th anniversary celebrations?
Yeah, and next year we're going to have the official 50th anniversary celebration, even though this is really the 50th anniversary, but it's gonna be next year.
Yep.
So, and we're gonna do any number of things. When we did the 40th, we had a pig roast on one of the Saturdays in July for all the dealers. We're gonna do that again. We're gonna have some new t-shirts and hats, which are really cool. They're gonna be kind of retro, going back to the first time we did them, but better. Matt's taking care of that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What, you're on that committee, you tell them some of the other things.
Live music every other week,
Okay.
from 10 to noon. We'll
Up on
have,
the top bandstand part, or where is it gonna be?
It depends.
Okay.
The up there isn't necessarily the best
Okay.
acoustics, but maybe.
Oh, okay.
Variety of players, and then we'll have a special Memorial Day celebration where we have a few more things for the kids, giveaways and face painting. We're gonna do some giveaways to flea market shoppers, and there's one more thing. I forget, but it's gonna be a great year.
And more things will probably crop up
Oh, yeah.
as the months wear on.
So there's not gonna be like a particular day next year that's the 50th, the whole
whole
season is gonna be
season.
the 50th. That's awesome.